Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. It's good to see your faces, some new ones today that I haven't seen in a long time. Hello, everybody at home. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. We were going to launch right into the music this morning. Jordan was just going to charge right in. We were going to let that be our start. And Jordan was not feeling well this weekend. So we've switched gears, and Jordan leapt to the moment and created some videos for us today. So he's here by video. And so I invite you to join in the opening song. If you're at home, to sing to your heart's content. Here in the room, it's safer to hum along, but I invite you also to rise if that feels good to you, and to feel free to move around and dance. We have the space to do it. So the morning has come. Let's celebrate that, and that we are here together to celebrate it.
Welcome all. I'm Jeff Stone, and I'm your worship associate for today, and I'm going to take my mask off. So this is the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains. Of course, this is Thanksgiving weekend, also the beginning of Advent, and this evening, when the sun goes down, Hanukkah begins. One of the recurring questions about Thanksgiving is, what are we giving thanks for? Of course, you can look up the history of the holiday on Wikipedia, but my actual experience of it growing up in New Jersey was that it was about the food, which suggests a relation to harvest time. But there were also stories about the Pilgrims having a feast with Native Americans. All that was kind of vague in my mind. No mention of what Native Americans thought of all this. I was just happy in my ignorance to eat turkey and stuffing and apple pie. Now, I'm more prone to ask, what are we doing and why? And actually bringing up the idea of giving thanks, it becomes a more personal question. What do we want to give thanks for? And since this is a national holiday, how does it relate to this nation of which we are a part? There was a time, I think, that it was easier to find things to be thankful for in this context than it is now. Now I look around at the nation, and honestly, my first reaction is to shudder. Then than to be grateful. So it takes more of an act of will to find the good. But I think it is worth the effort, because we really do need to find the good in our lives, even in the life of our nation, for that provides a solid foundation on which to stand. I am thankful for you, the folks that I'm welcoming to this service, regardless of ethnicity, of sexual orientation, of religious belief or non-belief. We welcome your diversity and your interest in sharing the space in which we come together. Let us remember to be grateful for who and what we are, for the chance to be with each other in friendship and love.
May we shine a light on that for which we can be thankful, that we are here, that we are not alone, that there is still hope, that there is a history that propels us forward, that our children may build a better future.
I invite people at home to light your chalice at home as Jeff lights our chalice here at UUCM. If you don't have a chalice yet at home, I invite you to find something that serves in that purpose. And today it's Carmen Riley reading our land acknowledgement.
In our commitment to be in right relationship with the descendants of this area's indigenous people, we place a small basket of black oak acorns on our altar each week. In doing so, we acknowledge the Nisenan people are still here amongst us today, though nearly invisible after generations of erasure and exclusion from California's history. We understand we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from genocide of their people. As residents or visitors of Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as a campaign to restore tribal sovereignty through federal recognition.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Some of you will recognize that either from previous services or from our singing meditation. It's a zipper song, so I'm going to invite people at home to type into the chat some of the things for which you are feeling grateful. Single words are good. 1, 2, 3 syllables are good, but we'll find a way no matter what appears in that list. And I invite some folks here to call it out in a moment. But first we'll repeat day just to get the song in our ears. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. What are you thankful for, someone here? Thank you for this friendship. 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 This healing, this healing, this healing friendship. This healing, this healing, this healing friendship. Community. Thank you for this 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 community. This healing, this healing, this healing community. This healing, this healing, this healing community. Earth. Thank you for this earth, oh, thank you for this earth. Thank you for this earth, oh, thank you for this earth. This healing, this healing, this healing earth. This healing, this healing, this healing earth. Cheryl writes, friends. Thank you for these friends, oh, thank you for these friends. Thank you for these friends, oh, thank you for these friends. These healing, these healing, these healing friends. These healing, these healing, these healing friends. These helpful people. Thank you for 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 these helpful people. These healing, these healing, these healing helpful people. These healing, these healing, these healing helpful people. Singing, says Bev. Thank you for the singing. 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 This healing, this healing, this healing singing. This healing, this healing, this healing singing. Laughter, says Melissa. Thank you for this laughter. 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 This healing, this healing, this healing laughter. This healing, this healing, this healing laughter. Sun, says Holly. Thank you for the sun, oh, thank you for the sun. Thank you for the sun, oh, thank you for the sun. This healing, this healing, this healing sun. This healing, this healing, this healing sun. Do one more, health. Thank you for this health, oh, thank you for this health. Thank you for this health, oh, thank you for this health. This healing, this healing, this healing health. This healing, this healing, this healing health. Now, if we haven't sung yours yet, I invite you to sing your word when we get to the spot. Are you ready, everybody? Thank you for this. Thank you for this. Thank you for this. Thank you for this. This healing, this healing, this healing. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you. That book is one of the books that's been well appreciated by Indigenous people because it presents the Cherokee, in this case, in contemporary light, doing what they do now, as opposed to some stereotyped version. So I appreciate the publishing company's willingness to let us offer that book today. Well, the holidays, like Thanksgiving, have a way of amplifying feelings. If there are losses we've experienced or someone has died in our life, they are often stronger at this time of year. They also amplify the joys, that sense of warmth and love, if that's been your experience of gathering with family and friends this week. I would invite you, perhaps after some busyness and hosting and cooking for a few days, to be still for a moment, to perhaps let your body unwind, to breathe deeply, to take a few deep, slow breaths, enough to affect how your body's feeling. And as we do each week, I invite you to listen within. Look, listen, feel within for the feelings, the joys, the sorrows, the concerns, the worries, the happinesses that are most present right at this moment. Maybe different than it's been all day or will be later, but right at this moment, feel present. I invite us all to hold each other in the quiet of the music, in the quiet of our homes, in the quiet of the room, as each of us in our own way holds that space around our heart tenderly, knowing that we're sharing this moment even as we do. And for those in the room, I invite you, if you wish, to come forward and to place a stone in the bowl of water. Near the end, I'll place some stones for all of you at home, for all that you're expressing in the chat. If you'd like to type into the chat, remember to press enter to send your note if you wish to share a piece of what is stirring in you. Let us hold each other.
A Thanksgiving Meditation by Naomi King. Every day we experience hunger and yearning for food, for approval, for respect, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed, for the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the cool, clear, clean waters, for shade in the heat of the day, and for stars to light the velvet night. Every day, we are invited anew to be thankful for food, for approval, for respect, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed, for the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the cool, clean waters, for shade in the heat of the day, and for the stars to light the velvet night. Our hearts beating in the liberating flight, we soar in gratitude for all the gifts we have in this day, in this lifetime of being, and turn again to share this bounty with all that is. Amen and blessed be.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parents, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Familiar to some of us, hymn of Thanksgiving with slightly updated words in UU style. Gail, thanks for the beautiful reading. One of the wonderful things is to hear these readings come out of different people's voices with such heart. Thank you. Well, with Thanksgiving in mind this morning and in heart, I'd like to begin with the gift of Leah Morris's song, Live Thanks. She offered it in her gratitude mini concert on Wednesday and kindly gave us permission to include it today. I think it's a lovely way to settle into this idea of gratitude and to settle into our own bodies and hearts. This is Leah Morris.
be more than just to live things. Now is there something that you're waiting for? A sense that life is flying past your door? Is every day a battle or a war? Where is peace? Well, look no further for your second chance. Don't wait for someone else to call your dance. In every moment find the sweet romance. It's so sweet. What can I give? What can I give? What can I give? What is each day for? What could be more than just to live things, not just on one day, or when things are going my way. I wanna give thanks. I choose to live thanks. And make of every day a holiday.
That song did my heart good on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday when I listened to it. I had planned to spend time today helping to problematize the U.S. Thanksgiving story. In other words, sharing some of the lesser known pieces of the history and the story in order to help loosen it up for the sake of holding that history more helpfully and healthily. I'm going to save that for next year, for the Sunday before Thanksgiving, when it might be of more direct, practical use for your Thanksgiving table conversations. Because in it, what I try to do is offer some tools as entry points, kind of low-threat entry points for initiating that conversation, which is what Native people are asking us to do, to verbalize some challenging of the story in at least simple ways. I kept trying to make it the focus for the sermon today, but I kept getting pulled away from it toward the spiritual practice of gratitude and with this idea of offering it that history in a more useful way next year. So meanwhile, I encourage you to keep learning all the stories that you can, all the histories around Native peoples, especially, of course, the Nisenan here locally, who've known this place as home for so many centuries. I encourage you to visit the current exhibit at the Ubaseo Gallery of Nisenan Arts and Culture in Nevada City, downtown Nevada City. Or tune into the virtual tour. Shelley Covert made a video giving a virtual tour of the exhibit, which you can find on the Chirp site, or just, I think, by searching on YouTube now. Or find the YouTube of National Day of Mourning from Thursday. There's several hours worth of speakers and marches that were really quite moving and helpfully enlightening. So those are all available. Watch for the learning opportunities that the Nisenan Task Force will create in the new year to expand our awareness. The goal is first simply to be ever more aware, even though some of the learning is discouraging and painful and frustrating. Both Shelley and several speakers at the National Day of Mourning said that as hard as the history is, they are finding hope now in the fact that more and more people, especially more and more young people, know more of the stories, that the stories and the people are less invisible. Shelley shared the story of hearing the word Nisenan for the first time in a setting outside her immediate circle of people. She heard it in a grocery store. A young child was explaining to a parent, they're correcting him actually about Mayadu and Nisenan, and used the word Nisenan. It's the first time Shelley had ever heard it outside her family setting, and moved her to tears. She talked about how invisible the Nisenan have been, and just those simple things can make a difference. So I encourage us in that direction always. And I'll name that it's not about defining who's good and who is bad. As James Lowen put it, the antidote to feel good history is not feel bad history. But that's the starting place. And from there, he said it's about honest and inclusive history. He said that's the goal. And it's from there that we have to follow our hearts and base our actions based on what we feel and know. And that can be transformative. So this morning, to look at gratitude, I want to begin with a story. Uncharacteristically of me, it's a sports story. Drawing on Keith Sharon's 2014 telling in the Oregonian. You may know this story. It was video recorded, the actual event, and became quite well known around that time and afterwards. So here's the story. Sarah Tucholsky, a senior softball player at Western Oregon University, didn't go to Western Oregon with a softball scholarship, but after working hard as a walk-on, she actually received a scholarship. She said she had trouble with confidence. Hitting was my downfall, she said. I put too much pressure on myself. I've always thought of the negative things I do rather than the positive things. In the last college game she ever played, she had only 3 hits in her last 34 times at bat. With 2 runners on base, Sarah came to bat in the second inning of a 0-0 game that would decide which team would go to the NCAA Division II playoffs. The loser would go home, so this was a big deal. She took the first pitch for a strike. The next pitch would have caught the outside corner. It would have been strike 2, but Sarah sent the ball flying over the fence in left field. She had never had that sweet feeling before, as Keith put it. She had never hit a home run. Not in practice, not in a game, never. You don't feel anything, she said, about the impact of the ball hitting the bat. It was so smooth. In her excitement, while running in and at the same time watching the ball clear the fence, Sarah missed first base. She realized what had happened. She planted one leg and made a hard turn to dash back to first. I saw my knee move in a way it shouldn't move, Sarah said, and she went down. In pain, she crawled back, reaching for first base. And when she made it, she hugged it like a life preserver, Keith said. She had torn the ACL, the ligament in her right knee, and she couldn't move. The first words Sarah heard were, "Don't touch her." If her first base coach or any of her teammates had tried to help her, she would have been called out. Coaches and umpires huddled quickly, with Sarah still lying there. If Sarah was replaced by a pinch runner, that runner would remain at first base, and her 3-run home run hit would have been recorded as a 2-run single. So while this discussion was happening with umpires and coaches, the other team's first baseman, makes me cry every time, Mallory Holtman from Central Washington University asked, "Can I help her? Can I help her?" Mallory called for shortstop Liz Wallace. "Is it all right if we pick you up?" Mallory asked Sarah. "She's tall, but she's got the sweetest little voice," Sarah said of Mallory. When Sarah agreed, they lifted Sarah and began to carry her to second base, lowering her carefully when they got there just enough to touch her the foot of her uninjured leg on the base. That's when the crowd started cheering. On to third base in the same way. And when they lowered her to touch home, Sarah said, "Thank you." Western Oregon, the team of Mallory and Liz who had carried Sarah around the bases, lost the game. Years later, reflecting on the experience, Sarah said, "This home run did not change me as a person, but it has had a huge impact on how I see a moment. Sarah wrote, "What I learned from Mallory that day is that we always have the opportunity in every moment to see the bigger picture. And if we can pause in moments like those and make choices based on integrity and kindness, I think we'd see a lot more good in this world." Keith Sharon, who was writing up that story, said, "It's always the dads who are crying when they hear the story." Some members of male baseball teams will say, "Oh, they shouldn't have done that. They should have done it a different way." I tear up every time. I'll come back to that story and why I've offered it. I know that a number of us engage in the practice of cultivating gratitude by taking time to notice and to list, taking time to actually list some of the things for which we're grateful, or for which we have reason to be grateful, even if we hadn't gotten there yet. And I know others of you have found that practice very helpful. This last week, someone talked about how that's their go-to practice when they're struggling, when they're really having a difficult time. They start listing their gratitudes. It's a practice that I know from experience can reorient us towards seeing the glass as half full rather than half empty, or even seeing that the glass itself is beautiful, as one of our previous stories mentioned. The glass itself is beautiful, whether it's full or empty. So that kind of practice can change our feeling. I know that. I know some of you do too. And it changes their feelings for a while. Neuroscientist Andrew Humberman, who studies and teaches at Stanford, he engaged that same list-making gratitude practice until recently. He scoured the academic research on gratitude only to discover that that practice of finding our gratitude by noticing what we're grateful for isn't the most effective gratitude practice. While it may change our state for a few moments or a little while, there's something else that can actually gradually reorient our neurological wiring in a much more powerful and lasting way. And while that orientation toward gratitude has emotional and spiritual benefits that we might recognize immediately from our own experience, there's also abundant research pointing to the health benefits of gratitude. The way it affects our heart rate, for example. The way it changes the way our brain and our heart communicate with each other. The way it lowers our anxiety and fear triggers so we're less reactive to anxiousness and to fear. It increases our sense of well-being, and very importantly, it activates our sense of motivation, gratitude. It's a worthwhile effort to try to hold it, right? To find it, reach it, hold it. So if it's not the other way, what is it? Gratitude practice 2.0, we might call it, picking up on last week's language. According to recent research, says Huberman in his podcast, the most effective way to cultivate an ongoing sense of gratitude is not to feel grateful, nor even to offer gratitude to others. The most effective way to cultivate and benefit from a sense of gratitude is to receive genuine gratitude from someone. Okay, so what do we do with that? Well, the obvious first takeaway on Thanksgiving weekend is the invitation to genuinely and generously express our gratitude to people in our lives, knowing how potent and powerful it can be for them. So from that generous mode, that's one immediate takeaway. But of course, the question arises, if we're trying to engage a practice of cultivating gratitude that relies on other people to express their gratitude to us, well, where do we go with that? Well, it turns out there's more to the story. In fact, the more is story. We humans are wired to tap into stories, as you know. And when we hear or read real life, moving stories of people helping others, Those kind of beauty of the human spirit stories, like maybe when someone's in a concentration camp and helps someone else in the concentration camp, even though it seems almost impossible, those kinds of stories. When we receive those stories in a way that moves us, we actually receive the same sense of gratitude on behalf of the people in the story, and we get the same physiological benefits of that gratitude. It changes our breathing, our heart rate, our neurochemistry by hearing and taking in that story. Now, the thing is, it has to be a narrative story, not just the facts. You have to hear it as a story that's told of someone's experience. And it doesn't have to match our personal life experience at all, which is why I told the story about softball, women's college softball. We just need to resonate with the story in a way that moves us. There is one other way to do it, more internally, and that's to call up our own memory of an experience when someone did express really powerful and deep and genuine gratitude to us. The thing is, it has to be genuine. You can't fake this one. It has to be actual genuine gratitude. So one way is to keep returning to that story, to call it up in our memory, to re-feel the feelings in a way that we repeat, and in a way that helps rewire, actually, our neural circuitry toward pro-social behaviors and that sense of goodness and well-being. So here are the key pieces, and I offer this as a tool for our own lives and for our ways to be with each other. So key piece number one is that it's grounded in a story, a narrative, a real life story that we've heard in its entirety at least once. We don't need to hear it every time, but we need to hear it once fully and feel it once fully. So whether it's ours or someone else's that we find, finding that story that moves us in that way. It could be a story about, again, people helping others. It could be about gratitude being expressed to us. And then what makes the practice work is actually to return to that story and those feelings repeatedly. It's the repetition that helps. So to do that repetition, Humberman suggests making a note of the key pieces of the story. What are the key elements that actually speak to you, that move you? So you've got them in mind. And then when you come back to that story, kind of review those key elements and spend a little time with the feeling that comes up. It doesn't need to be long. He says 60 seconds. 60 seconds will make a difference. 5 minutes, even better. But somewhere between 60 seconds and 5 minutes, not a lot of time to return to that story. And how often? He says, well, no one really knows. He suggests start with 3 times a week. 3 times a week, come to that story. And it not only changes how we feel in the moment is the idea, but again, that return gradually changes the way our nervous system responds to the world. So that's the Cliff Notes version. I'll include some links in the CHALICE column this week. I wanted to share it so that you could put it to use, perhaps while company is still around this weekend even, and so that we can draw on it together, of course, whether it's with each other or we're trying to figure out those elusive bridges we keep talking about to people who feel and think differently than we do. So I hope that is a tool that can serve the power of story, and that will inspire us to share our stories with each other and to be on the lookout, to be listening for those, and then, of course, to share our own gratitude genuinely and deeply. So this Thanksgiving and far beyond, so may we be.
"25% of our offering this month will support Sammy's Friends, which offers a safe and caring place for neglected, abandoned, and abused animals to be cared for and rehabilitated when necessary, and adopted as quickly as possible into loving homes. Since we are not passing a plate in person, giving in other ways is vital to our ability to sustain the work of our community. Thank you for your generosity. See the slide for ways to give by text, PayPal, UUCM's website, or by mail.
Although we're not passing the basket in person, your generosity remains essential to our ability to sustain the work of our community. There are several ways to contribute. You may text an amount to 833-579-0483, give via our website at uugrassvalley.org, via PayPal at paypal.me/UUCM, or mail to UUCM 246 South Church Street, Grass Valley, California, 95945. Thank you.
We dedicate this offering to respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part.
Thank you. Genuine thank you, Jeff, for serving as worship associate today. Thank you. Carmen's been greeting each Sunday. Thank you, Carmen, greeting and ushering and welcoming people. It's actually Eileen Hale who took over for Beth Caro as chat host. Thank you, Eileen. Beth had a family need to be elsewhere. And Siobhan's been working extra hard today with Andy Dooley Miller and Bob Miller. Thank you for navigating all the audio-visual pieces. I hope Jordan's feeling better. Jordan, we hope you're feeling better if you're watching. Shanti, thanks for the really rich and lovely fall setting today, this autumnal setting. Thanks to Leah Morris again for allowing us to use the music, and to Gail and Corey and Carmen for reading today, and for George and Corey behind the scenes. Corey's been finding the readers and organizing the readers. Thank you, Corey. For our closing song, we're going to use what you may know as the Easter Alleluia, or at least the chorus of it. It's based on Paco Bell. And in Leah's mini concert, she does a song by Peter Mayer that includes a portion of essentially singing without words, or where the la 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 doesn't matter. The idea is to know that sometimes words are not enough, right? Words don't cover it. So I invite us to sing this Alleluia together with a sense of your own gratitude, those stories of appreciation that you hold in your body and in your history, those senses of gratitude that you already hold. I invite you to feel that as you're with this music, whether you're humming or singing along, and to let that be your experience. So with that, we're calling it the Thankful Alleluia today, since it's not Easter. I invite us into this community benediction, knowing whether you're at home or here, that you are connected in love and care. So together, let us carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. I invite you to Christmas tree decorating on Wednesday and singing meditation on Thursday. And next Sunday, we start our theme of opening to joy with Odes to Hope with myself and Gail Johnson Vaughn.